Last time on Dragon Ball Z, right as the Earth was in the midst of receiving his curtain call, none other than Son Goku made his way back to Earth with the help from Elder Kai, cutting in just in time to give the planet and its inhabitants one more chance. Confused by the interruption but not worried, Buu prepared to return to the business of nuking the planet and everyone on it when Goku interjected, informing him that those plans would have to wait because he had just a trick to stopping Buu's rampage for good. Utilizing the Patara earrings he received from the Elder, he was going to fuse for keeps with his son and use their combined strength to get Earth's timeline back on track. But Buu happened to be one step ahead, absorbing Son Gohan first and leaving Goku and company in a worse position than they ever thought possible. Right as Kakarot was on the cusp of doing the unthinkable, he sensed a familiar energy and immediately teleported to its location. Prince had been given a pass to Earth as well, and after sidelining his grievances with his arch rival, adorned the Patara earring moments before Buu made contact. With Earth's greatest champions now fused, could they finally be able to put an end to the curse of Majin Buu once and for all? Where do you even start with this fellow Vegito? But he came into the world with a shit-eating grin and is damn near permanently plastered on his face for the entirety of his screen time. But would anything else be appropriate for the fusion of Vegeta and Goku? Both of these fellows are absolutely infamous for becoming disrespect incarnate when they know they're a tier above their opponent. So Vegito came into the world with an absolute zero chance of being anything less than the anime version of Deadpool. After the shadow boxing ended, Vegito got on his requisite sandbag timing, letting Buu get a few licks off, with his only goal being to showcase how the man could no longer even hope to crease his Jordans, let alone fold him. Then after sending a playful flurry Buu's way, he starts gut checking him and lands a two-piece ending with a kick to the head to have Buu doing his best Mac the Knight impersonation. When the clock strikes half past 6, babe. Then in broadcast version, this fella Buu starts yapping on about a ball of energy passed down in his family for generations that he was about to wax the earth with, yada yada yada, when Vegito's like, oh brother, this guy stinks, and boots that thing into the stratosphere like he was auditioning for the newest season of Blue Lock. After seeing him toy with that level of energy, Buu realizes this guy's really just been playing games and asks him to lock in. Vegito then activates the tingle in his back and the party begins. One piece of banner I like in the anime is when Buu's like, look mijo, if we're playing a numbers game out here, I got 3 Saiyans while you only got 2, so you might as well back down now because the Steiner math ain't coming out right. That's when the ever smirking Vegito's like, nah little bro, it's about quality not quantity, and I put a 500,000 zenny on the fact that this was Vegeta talking. Homie's mad quick to slander a half-breed Saiyan at a moment's notice, and the way he was getting cooked up in hell, he had been itching to get back to Earth to finally win a roast session. Now let's talk about a couple of standout moments here after the power-up. Moment one I gotta give some flowers to is the part where Buu eats an energy beam from Vegito, and homie starts getting extra pissed and decides, you know what, I've been playing way too clean this entire time, let me get back in my villain bag. Then proceeds to use the steam from how pressed he is to engulf the landscape and is like, you can't hit me, straight out of grade school type energy. And then Vegito's like, well, you did at least get one part right. It's true I can't see you. Then all you hear is the sounds of anchors dropping, bones cracking, and pained yells as Buu emerges from the smoke on the other side on some Elmer Fudd, did anyone get the name of that Shemai type energy. The second part that deserves mention, strictly for the cool factor, was Vegito's spirit sword he uses to pick Majin Buu up like a hamburger off the grill. That would have been so sick to see utilized more. Part of me wonders if this is where at least some of the inspiration for the homie Goku Rose comes from when Super hits, as his fighting style feels like a bit more fleshed out version of using ki as weapons idea that we see here with Vegito. But by far the most hey yo moment in the entire scrap that definitely was 1000% not there in the manga was when Majin Buu does a run back of what he did to that big body jobber back when they were out pumpy hunting, and proceeds to liquefy himself and hop straight into Vegito's throat, preparing to blow the man from the inside. I refuse to say pause on any of this because this is exactly how the whole mess played out. I cannot with this whole entire scene. Just the sheer ridiculousness of seeing Vegito with the proportions of how we all used to draw DBZ characters back in the 4th grade had me feeling away. But this fella solves it by basically being such a badass, he manifests manual control of all his internal organs and starts playing whack-a-mole with Buu cosplaying as a tumor till the creature gets so sick of getting hammer-fisted he expels himself and decides that he just gets his pockets ran on the outside world. The whole time all this is happening, I could not help but shake the feeling like I was watching somebody in the office's weird fetish being played out on screen. It's like when you go back and peep episodes of iCarly or Totally Spies or something that you would watch as a kid, and you start to realize that some of this stuff wasn't just quirky episode ideas, and that one of these animators or scene supervisors might need to be put on a list. After Vegito proved that he was indeed the throat goat and Buu was back on the outside world, the desperation continued, with Buu hitting a Go Tank special, this time going for the Super Sperm Blob Kamikaze attack. And what follows just a series of Vegito playing with his food. Shunkan Ito went out of the way of the Kamikaze attack, hitting Buu with Bruce Lee quotes and telling him don't think about the punches but feel them, quite literally in this case, and in the English version even telling Buu that the man was cooked before the term came into pop culture usage. Everywhere Buu turned, there was Vegito with a smart remark, telling him how ass he is, and the frustration was starting to build up, to say the very least. Elder Kai was tuned into the whole thing, and despite only knowing the Saiyans for as long as he did, he was already worried and could smell a botch job coming. The OG was on the other line sweating profusely, begging Goku to finish the plate this instant before something dumb happened. They were back to square one. Hey, do you like coffee candy? For real? How'd you? In the exact moment Elder Kai feared came to pass, as the Earth's best shot for a dub got turned into a jawbreaker, and Elder Kai repented that he gave away his only life so he couldn't self-delete after watching such a sorry display. Holding the Vegito gobstopper in his hands, Buu began to get all out of sorts, talking about if he should down the homie in one gulp or lick him to death. If you ever find yourself in a situation where an op presents you with these two choices, please consider your life circumstances and the decisions that put you in this predicament. Unfortunately for Buu though, the Vegeta Milk Dub wasn't the type of snack to go down smooth. Getting your ass beat by a piece of candy has to at least make you a nominee for the Lames Hall of Fame. But the wildest part of this whole thing to me was when Vegito started shadowboxing as a malted milk ball. Buddy was out here putting on a clinic like Ryan Garcia, and apparently it worked because this fellow Buu was shook and had his guard down the whole time. Needless to say, the experience did not go as planned, and after penetrating the back of Buu's throat, Buu decided the situation was impossible to salvage and turned Vegito human again. Can't even blame bro, them nights in hell was about to be real long if he showed up at Emma's with the footage of him getting exercised by a Nestle Crunch ball. After returning to normal, Vegito postures up and pretends that he intends to end the fight after a 10 count. On the surface it appears like Buddy was just living up to those Saiyan jobber genes dormant within him, but turns out there was a little more thought put into it than that. While Buu is panicking thinking about how he can take this fight after being thoroughly walloped by every conceivable metric, he recalls a piece of his body he had never returned to himself and smiles. Using that remaining piece, wraps around Vegito and absorbs him, coming out on top after what would be an understatement to call a grueling battle. Back in Kyle Land, Kibito Sheen is already packing his bags, thinking about what universe they can occupy that might be out of Buu's reach. But Elder Kai isn't so sure this is necessary quite yet, pointing out the fact that previously, every time Buu absorbed a new fighter, he transformed. So why isn't this the case with Vegito? It's a hunch, but there could be more at play. And the OG's hunch was exactly right, as we return to the perspective of Vegito inside Buu, who as he gets to work getting the mucus off his Chef Boyardee gloves, makes mention of his plan to infiltrate Buu from the inside and free all those who have been previously absorbed. An interesting point of contention rests inside this moment as well. As Vegito takes a few steps inside of Buu's body, all of a sudden he diffuses, and even Vegeta and Goku are unsure why. As a youngster, I always thought this was because Buu's stomach acid damaged one of the earrings, causing him to return to normal. But returning to this now, I'm reminded that this very much wasn't the case, as the earrings were still very much intact, that is until Vegeta palms his and crushes it in front of Goku's face. So this led me to doing some digging, and what I found is that this moment actually got retconned as the series continued. In the past, many fans thought that with Buu being an ancient magic creature that he is, something about Buu's magic interfered with the magic of the Potara, leading to the fusion coming apart. Hell, for my mileage, why not? Sounded good enough to me anyway. But there's the Goku bad air theory, where there's just something about Buu's gut microbiome that just inherently does not play well with the Potara fusion. Ultimately though, the retcon comes into play in Super, where a character informs Vegeta, Goku, and Shin that apparently the Potara fusion only remains permanent if one is a Supreme Kai. In any other case, the fusion is set to only last an hour. Definitely a random rabbit hole I wasn't planning on embarking on, but still cool to have an answer. Z-Crew, this whole excursion with Goku and Vegeta trips me out to this day. It feels like watching a whole new show. I know I can't be the only one that didn't have DBZ turn into Osmosis Jones on their bingo card.
Whew. This cat was sick before I even got here.
After Vegito pridefully crushing the Potaro and damn near losing his lunch at the idea of having to link up with Kakarot, these fellas are really just out here taking a nice casual stroll of Majin Buu's orifices like they just take this ride to work every day. The homie Goku out here just chopping it up with Vegeta like it's any old day, talking about, damn, it really stink out here, huh? We We must be next to the bowels or something, because this is crazy. Vegeta barely had the heart to look at him, confirming that it did in fact smell like the back of Android 16's earrings out there, and he sure as hell didn't eat Kakarot of all people, reminding him of that fact every couple of seconds. Big props to the art designers on this episode too, for taking what was just a few panels within the manga and really bringing Boo's insides to life, since I hope I never have to utter again. For those hip to it, the inside of Boo reminds me a lot of that nightmare fuel ass level fetus of God and Darkstalkers. Just an absolutely haunted ass environment full of hostile, fleshy, pulsating masses waiting to kill any foreign objects that weren't Hercules that found their way inside. After getting up to some magic school bus tier hijinks exploring the cavernous inside of Boo's colon, Vegeta and Goku eventually stumble upon their homies covered in absolutely foul membrane of Boo bits. The Saiyans end up destroying the stem housing the inhabitants, and as they do so, our boy Boo on the outside slowly begins to regress back to base Super Boo, which is such a hilarious thing to say out loud, but it's the only way I can think to describe it. Vegeta comes up with the idea to blow a hole through Boo's midsection now that he's powered down so much and escape with the POWs. Goku happened to be the one putting his noodle to work this time though, and had other plans, reminding Vegeta that even though this fellow may be magnitudes weaker than he was before, he can still have them hitching a ride back in Baba's Tesla in no time if they get froggy enough to instigate a tussle right now. But Goku informed his compatriot that all was not lost, that he had just a plan that would allow them to clean this Boo situation right up and salvage it for good. Hell no, Kakarot. I already know what you're going to suggest, and if it means channeling my inner Ginyu and busting it wide open, I'd rather Majin Buu just bust open my skull. It'll be a far less painful experience. Goku was fully prepared to give Vegeta the wedgie of the century to get him to see reason, but before he could put the chalk on his hands, he was stopped in his tracks by another unexpected captive within Boo's walls. No Marilyn Manson, but it appeared that Boo somehow managed to swallow himself. They were to free Big Body Boo now, just what would that mean for the Majin Buu they were inhabiting? But before they could find out, an unexpected voice beckoned from nearby. Enough playing around in my body. Boo should have known it was you. Boo didn't know how the two chuckleheads in front of him managed to avoid getting absorbed, but a couple of quick haymakers ought to clear up whatever glitch they managed to find. Goku knew just how screwed they were and couldn't help himself from saying it out loud. Way to go, Vegeta. You've been on Earth, what, like a good hour, and somehow you still managed to throw the match? If we still had the Patara, we could have been fused and flushed Boo down his own urethra by now. Boo was all ears. Word, y'all can't fuse? Say less. Vegeta had half the mind to switch teams. He knew Kakarot was stupid, but to reveal just how powerless they were directly in front of the enemy was a low even for him. After Goku dropped the news, Boo went from half submerged in his own fluids to staying in full mast with a smile beaming across his face. After all that nonsense with Vegito a moment ago, he was in the mood for some free eats. After thinking for a moment, Goku key charged and hit the panic button, warning Boo to not move any closer or they'll blow a hole through his body faster than he can say AdamandEve.com. But for whatever reason, Boo was completely unfazed, matter-of-factly stating to the Saiyan that he lacked the requisite Dragon Balls to pull off a maneuver like that. With his Fafo meter thoroughly being filled by this point, Goku took aim and fired off a shot directly at Boo's body to let him know that the moment for threats had long passed. Briefly reveling in the silence after Boo shut his pie hole, the satisfaction quickly wore off when the smoke cleared and no damage had been done to Boo's body whatsoever. Scratching the back of his neck, Boo reminded his companion that he and his present company were currently smaller than a pair of Kendrick Lamar's gym socks, and they would do well to remember their place. Vegeta, seeing Goku's heroic efforts proving ineffective, decided to do things his way. Well, Boo, once again Kakarot has left everyone disappointed with a premature finish. But I have a different plan. I wonder what'll happen if I remove Tubby here from the little pod. Will you put the baby weight back on? Or who knows, maybe you'll turn into that skinny menthol smoking excuse for a Majin I saw back on the big screen in hell. Let's find out. Nothing less than sheer panic ran across Boo's face as he witnessed Vegeta beginning to pull the plug on the original Majin Buu. Boo waved his hands erratically, warning the Prince of all plans that detaching that Boo will be the biggest mistake he's made since that one night he decided to check Bulma's phone. But seeing Boo react the way he did sealed the deal. Vegeta had to know just what about the potential of losing Big Boo could have this mongrel so scared. So with a healthy tug, he removed Boo's pod and for a second, silence. Super Boo faded away and it appeared that his threats were only a bluff and they made the correct choice. But this was just the calm before the storm, as everything within Boo began to tense up and nearly explode. Boo was changing, and if they didn't leave now, they wouldn't even have to worry about the transformation. Using every ounce of strength and speed they had, Goku and Vegeta yoinked up their companions and proceeded to search for an exit out of the House of Boo. For a moment it appeared that all was lost, but Vegeta spotted an opening and with zero hesitation the two raced with their allies in hand and found their way back into Earth's atmosphere, escaping out of one of Boo's many blowholes. The only problem now was Boo. Upon releasing the original, they thought this Boo would turn into either Rick Boo or Charlie Boo, but it appeared that these estimations were off base. For some reason, Boo's energy signature was rising, with no signs of stopping. Here, on the eve of Boo's final transformation, is where we'll call it. Tune in next time, homies, as Goku and company are introduced to the purest form of Majin Buu. Despite his stature, it appears that this Majin Buu may be more unhinged than any that's come before. What plans does this primal Buu have for the Earth and our heroes? Only one way to find out. Be easy, y'all, and catch you again in the next video.